So, thank you. I will present, as you can see, preliminary conservation research in the Lower Anubis Shrine of the Hatshepsut Temple in Deir el-Bahari. Hatshepsut Temple site before excavation, 1893. As you can see, the whole temple is covered with sand. Only the remains of the Coptic monastery are visible here in this fragment and the granite portico. So this is the picture taken in 1896 when the first excavation has finished, and thankfully we can see here the Lower Anubis chapel unearthed. So this is the present day, and the Lower Anubis chapel is on the northern part of the complex here. This is the different perspective of the temple. And before I will start, let's say, describing our activities in the Lower Anubis Shrine, I have to show you the best preserved wall paintings that have survived in the Hatshepsut temple, and it is the Upper Anubis Shrine of the Hatshepsut. As you can see, the vibrant colors, even the varnishes, the part of our research that was a bit extended recently of the UV light examination in the Upper Anubis Chapel will show you the extent of the original Hatshepsut time varnishes. And because, let's say, the transparent varnish, it is hard to distinguish the extent with the naked eye. The best technique to detect the organic material, such a varnish, is the UV light examination, very popular, non-destructive method. So under the UV light, the organic substances produce the certain luminescence. And in this case, the luminescence is light green and yellowish green. It depends on the surface, that underlayer, and which color is covered with varnish. In case of the blue ones, the luminescence is turning into green. In other parts is yellow. But what is important here, that the original paint layer from the Hatshepsut time was covered almost completely with varnishes. All the figurative scenes, the text, the other parts of the composition, even the geometrical borders of the composition are covered with varnish. This is the one of the best preserved figurative scenes. It depicts the Thutmose, the first, the father of Hatshepsut, followed by her mother. And once again, all the elements are covered with varnish. Only the background has been left without it. So, and this is the wall of the niche in the upper Anubis Shrine. Unfortunately, we have the situation here when the destruction and I mean is so extent that Hatshepsut, that was depicted before in front of Anubis, are almost invisible here, but UV light examination help us to see the figure of Hatshepsut, the shoulders, white crown, legs. So only in this way we can admire a scene. And the next example of the sanctuary of the Upper Anubis Chapel, when the images of Queen Hatshepsut and other gods have been erased and only some fragments of text and let's say the decorative parts have been survived. You can see here the encrypted Hatshepsut throne name, which is the cobra, the sun disk, and the hands rise up, embracing the body of the cobra. In fact, even this fragment have been covered with varnish. Maybe it is a good moment to distinguish that this destruction has two phases. The first phase is connected to Thutmose III, who, after he gained the throne, ordered to remove all the images of Queen Hatshepsut. And the second phase of the destruction took place a few generations after, during the Akhenaten reign, when the, let's say, religion revolution took place, and then the images of the gods that was once in the temple, they were destroyed. Maybe it would be good to show you the difference. No, not very much. I mean, there is a difference in tools that have been used to destroy these images. So the different marks have been left by the tools used in Hatshepsut, in Thutmose time destruction, and the different have been used during the destruction of Amarna period. So, and we are going back to our activities inside the Lower Anubis Shrine, which is marked here in the red square. Our activities were focused only inside the chapel, inside those three rooms, which is vestibule, sanctuary, and niche. The complex is preceded by the colonnade open to the middle courtyard. This is the entrance, and once again we are on the axis to the main entrance of the chapel. So our activities we could describe as, let's say, the condition of the wall paintings was analyzed in order to recognize and record the causes of decay, which will then allow us to establish appropriate conservation approach. As part of the initial recognition of the objects, photographic and descriptive documentation was made. A typology of damages was determined on the photo scans, and damage were mapped for each of the three rooms of the shrine using the digital techniques. Detailed photographic documentation of the state of preservation was supplemented with microscopic photographs. Ultraviolet light examination was undertaken to identify the original varnishes in the extent of pharaonic reconstruction and previous conservation intervention. And now we are inside the first chamber of the complex, which is vestibule. The west wall and the symbol of revival, the fetish imute in the form of leather bag tied to the pole. Above, the two jackals laying on the two small shrines, protecting the name, originally the name of the Queen Hatshepsut during her way to the netherworld. This is the opposite wall, the eastern wall. On the upper part, the motif with the jackal had been repeated. Also on the north and south wall, you can see the same pattern. The frieze with the Hatshepsut name is topping the figurative scenes, the ceiling in form of a vault, painted with the night sky, with the stars. Maybe it's worth mention that generally the layout of the complex, the rooms in the complex, they were established in a one row. Here in this case, there is a different pattern because each next room is positioned into a right angle. So, in fact, here we have the entrance to the next room, which is the sanctuary. but here we have the the north wall. And now, in comparison to the decoration that has been preserved in the upper Anubis chapel, you can see how, let's say, the destruction is how big is that destruction. Likewise, the Anubis, the upper Anubis, images of Hatshepsut has been erased. Here we have only a fragment of her arm. In the next fragment, the same situation, is her palm. So, but only we have some traces of the queen. Even the texts that have been destroyed. Luckily, here we have representation of the gods that has been survived. The next slide, this is the same wall, but in the different light. It helps us to understand how far the destruction had gone. And interestingly, here we have the signs of the modern day conservation. So, for example, here and here and here we have fillers made with the mineral mortar. I link this conservation to the conservation that I think in early 90s or through the 90s of the 20th century took place in the colonnade, walls of the colonnade. So probably this room also has undertook the restoration. So once again, in the sidelight, the traces of Queen Hatshepsut and the destruction of the stone substratum. According to the paint layer and the different form of destruction, we have the variety of it. Let's say in the blue and green parts, we observe the very low cohesion and adhesion. The paint layer was flaking. Significantly better yellow pigments and red preserved. And so the next fragment, lots of mechanical damages. And of course, the layer of yellowish, I think, old consolidant, probably paraloid B72. And once again, the different types of the destruction of a paint layer. Here it is a very good example of a different state of preservation areas with text. Here in this square, we have the text that, let's say, comes from the Hatshepsut time and more or less had not been significantly changed. If you compare the other hieroglyphs, it's striking how these lines are, let's say, sophisticated and really low quality of these signs. Everything because this is the fragment of a not reconstruction, but let's say remodeling of the surface. We observed that there were few different approaches. One of it is just that the hieroglyphs had been erased, but we can still observe the outer line, sometimes the shapes of the hieroglyphs. They were just painted with the neutral, or I should say overpainted with the neutral color of the background. In this case, the surface of a stone has been smoothened. It is a bit lower, and the mortar, the new mortar of a, let's say, reconstruction phase have been applied, and then the new hieroglyphs had been curved. So our attention kept this wall, which let's say the composition is very strange on the left side. In fact, we didn't have any elements, but the closer look show us, let's say, that under this surface we see some fragments of a paint layer, and this is the photographs that beneath the beige lime wash we see the fragments and colors of the first paint layer, probably the layer from the Queen Hatshepsut time, and a few next examples. In the area where the lime wash flake off the wall, the original colors of the composition reappeared, like here. So it was confirmed with the portable microscope. This is the area where all these microscopic photographs have been taken, and it is clear that the lighter layer of the lime wash cover the colors of the first decoration. Here we also noticed that the frieze with the encrypted throne name bears the signs of second paint layer. Originally, the strong name consists of the cobra, solar disk, and sign Ka, which is the raised up and embracing the cobra body. On this slide, you can see the second phase with the decoration when the hands have been covered completely. Here we have the traces that the color has survived, and the also the background color of the background was light blue, not the white one. Also, the signs Ang and Shen here are covered with lime wash. And here we see that the first layer beneath still exist. And here is once again closer look. The first phase of the decoration is visible here. The bit darker layer here. The lighter yellow color is this is the second phase of the decoration, which is shown here on microscopic photographs. The dark yellow, the first phase Hatshepsut time decoration, and the later one, the second phase. And here also the other, let's say, form of the destruction, which is, let's say, unwanted inhabitants of the chapel. Bats. This is this dark stain. This is bat excrements and urine. So we have a few places, especially in the upper part of the decoration, covered with these excrements. And here is the, I think, a nice example that reveals, let's say, the technology. We can see here the underdrawing that helps to, let's say, create the stars in parallel rows. Here we have the, let's say, type of destruction that is a problem in those 3 rooms of the chapel. This lighter shade of blue is just the preparation layer. This is it was, let's say, the first phase, this color was made using the mixture of white, black, and blue pigment. And on that kind of background, the Egyptian blue was applied, and then the yellow stars had been painted. But in this case, we observed that the Egyptian blue turned into the dark gray, or turn almost into black, which is, let's say, mixture of the two factors. One is probably technology, and the other, let's say, humidity, or other processes of the natural aging. But I suspect that in this case, this is rather the technology. I know that in the British Museum, they've made a research that describe why some of the objects that were painted in Egyptian blue turn into black. And the final result was the constatation that the Arabic gum used as a binder or as a varnish caused the blackening of the Egyptian blue. I don't know if it is also in our case. Probably we have to, let's say, make a further research. And in this slide, we have a, let's say, very fine example of original technology using in Hatshepsut time, when the temple was built. Let's say, imperfection of a stone substratum, sometimes too big gaps between the stones, have been filled with that kind of white mortar. It was a mixture of gypsum, lime, and with some organic materials, and with quartz. Because the cohesion of this material is really low, we don't have many examples like this when the paint layer has been survived. In most of the places, the original face of this mortar is lost. And as I mentioned at the beginning, all the damages that we observed was collected into that kind of documentation on the basis of a photo scan. We've created maps. They are, let's say, divided into two problems. So each wall has two maps. One is meant for recording the damages of substratum, and the other one is meant for damages of the paint layer. So the next example, and documentation, one of the walls of a niche of the complex. So, because we've noticed that we have two different layers, it was important to distinguish the scope of them. In this case, the UV light examination was very useful, thanks also to the technology of the layers, especially the factor that the Hatshepsut time original decoration has been covered by varnish. So the luminescence that varnish is giving, it is the indicator that we are, let's say, have here the original paint layer, the fragments, the very dark, like here. This is the second phase layer, and so this is the most important, let's say, difference. For example, here the Shen and Ang are covered with new cream background, but they are better seen in the UV light. So, and the bigger scale, here the let's say fragments of the original paint layer, seen probably because the overpainting flake out. Probably the adhesion to the varnish was lower, so that's why this painting flaked off the wall. Or like here, have never been covered. And here we have the new phase of texts. This is almost the same slide, but I show you earlier this fragment when the original hieroglyphs has survived. And here, if you remember the photographs from the upper Anubis chapel, you will, let's say, see the difference. Here we can see with the certainty that this layer is just the, let's say, overpainting, the second phase, and only the few fragments with the varnish has survived. And I think this is the most important discovery. As you noticed, the figure of the god has no signs of varnish, and together with our observation in the side light, in neutral light, leads us to the conclusion that all images of the gods in this chapel, this is the reconstruction that comes from Ramessid era. In fact, after the Amarna destruction, in other parts of Hatshepsut temple, we have reconstruction made by Horemheb or the Ramses II. Even we have the restoration text, and they both speak of renovating the building for the father of the fathers, Thutmose III. So whenever it was, it was in the time of Horemheb, of if it was the time of Ramses II, or even later, the representation of gods in this chapel are not original from the Hatshepsut time. This is the, let's say, final effect of the reconstruction. And now we are in the second room in the complex. This is the sanctuary, and let's say the pattern with the destruction is the same as in the previous room. The images of Hatshepsut were erased, the text also, the image of God had been reconstructed, and some texts were recarved once again. Very interesting situation we have, let's say, in the main wall of the sanctuary. This is the north wall, where between Hathor and Anubis, we have, let's say, the empty space, and we've noticed the marks of a tool. The closer look. Oi. The closer look help us to see that here in the middle we have the feet. Here is the heel, even with the fragment of the paint layer. And here is another leg. So I think that between those two gods, in the center of the composition, the Hatshepsut was standing. Center of the composition, flank with the gods. So I think the original composition, even in the Lower Anubis chapel, was let's say similar to this one. We have to go back to, I think, the most important issue of the conservation here. As you can see, the wall between the main, the vestibule and sanctuary is, let's say, the stability of the structure is in danger, probably in a wake of earthquake, The lintel broke down almost. Now we have temporary wooden support. So I hope that the next season the team of construction engineers will join the mission to help us solve this problem. And so the closer look with the side light into this main scene, and the let's say UV light examination, and show us that from the original composition only the solar disk survive, and the let's say the geometrical borders, and here this fragment, the rest is just the reconstruction. Once again, the let's say the present state of the walls. It is worth to mention that I see the difference. I mean, in the conservation approach from the, let's say, of the last team. I've noticed the, let's say, activity and some traces of the modern day conservation only in Vestibule. Here in the sanctuary, we don't have modern day fillers. For example, replacing the gaps between the joints, and we don't see, let's say, this yellowish layer of old consolidant. So the sanctuary and the niche has been, let's say, left untouched without any traces of conservation treatment. Here, which is what we can see with the side light, I mean the traces of the Hatshepsut figure. Here is the torso, the raised hand, the name of probably the cartouches of the queen, and closer look to that hand. This second face layer that was, let's say, applied even on the surface that hadn't been smoothened. And the other problems, which are remains of the wasp nests and the cracks of the stone. Here is the, let's say, closer look to the slime wash that cover the walls. As you can see, the marks of a brush are visible. Sometimes this layer is quite thick. And the flaking paint layer. Once again, flaking paint layer. And here we have only one example, the figure that comes from the Hatshepsut time and haven't been destroyed. Probably it is the Thutmose III. Later I will show you the the bigger picture of this fragment. And here in this case, we have the corner where the original paint layer and the decoration from the Hatshepsut time also have been preserved. But unfortunately, we see here the varnish layer, which now turned to almost brown, sometimes it's yellowish, sometimes darker brown, lost transparency, because you have to remember that this is the natural process of aging of varnishes. With time, it's is the varnish layer is darkening a bit. In this case, is losing, let's say, the transparency. But it is obvious that they are vernishing. The luminescence is very clear. And once again, the cobra frieze here in Sanctuary, let's say the frieze has been left without any addition of the new paint layer. It has been left just only with the, let's say, the destruction of in the form of chiseling. The other fragment, the wasp nests, and so this is this only one figure that has preserved from the Hatshepsut era. Here you can see, let's say, not very strong luminescence. It is only shimmering because it was probably covered by the next layer, but still clearly visible. Some fragments of the hieroglyphs that comes also from the Hatshepsut times, but as you can see over his head, the cartouches has been, let's say, changed. So it is not clear when it has been done, but maybe even in the Thutmose time, we don't know. This is, I think, the material that the scholar might discuss further. I mean, the Egyptologist. So the few other examples how we can distinguish the, let's say, areas that are original and which one are added later. Here, the goddess, obviously, the reconstruction area. And here we have also the same situation from the Hatshepsut time, only the shrine has survived. Only this luminescence is a bit covered by the top layer that from the reconstruction, and which is interesting. And we can see it here in this chapel. The varnishes are not cover all of the decoration. For example, here the cobras are left without any traces of the varnish. This is the only one cobra that have been covered with varnish. And once again, the destruction of the ceiling, the wasp nest, the destruction of the paint layer, probably I think caused by water condensation. This layer was washed out, I think, by water. And finally, the last room, which is the niche. And of course, here we are facing the most serious and large-scale problem of bad excrements. The scene, the main scene depicts the Hatshepsut that once stood in front of Anubis. On the both side walls, we see the double offerings made to Anubis. Here in the side light, we see the Hatshepsut figure that has been erased. And here we've noticed that there is no sign of the second layer, this beige lime wash that covers the walls of the sanctuary and the walls of the vestibule. Here, the erased text and figures has been left without any other reconstruction. Once again, the bad excrements, and unfortunately, we are facing such a situation. We've made the first test cleaning, so this is effect of our work. It must have been continue, but unfortunately, you can see here that those bad excrements, let's say, destroy all of the paint layer, and even the stone itself is, let's say, penetrated, and the color of the stone base has changed. And a closer look into the varnish layer, and once again, here we have this original fragment of a mortar that filled the imperfection of the stone substratum. And once again, the layer of the varnish, which is really very thick. It suggests that it might be a composition of a wax and some other resin, and this is the microscopic photograph of this resin. And once again, the extent of the varnishes in the niche. And what is very interesting, here we can, this is this main scene from the niche. Here we can distinguish the extent of the reconstruction. If you compare the legs of an Anubis, you can see that here, from the overpainted layer, we see the shimmering of luminescence of the original, let's say, fragment from the Hatshepsut time. The rest is the reconstruction. So this is the same case as in the Anubis enthroned. Only the throne of the Anubis is the original part of the decoration. The all the reconstruction is that later addition. So this is, let's say, the end, and I could let's say that we have a few let's say main points. So first is that the destruction comes gradually, so that's why there is no images of the Queen Hatshepsut. The second phase of destruction was this Amarna time destruction, and this was later renewed, but by the reconstruction of the Ramessid time. But I see among those three chambers of the Hatshepsut of this chapel, I see the different approach. There is a, let's say, very carefully, and they reconstructed during Ramessid times all the walls of the vestibule, where all the walls are covered with the new paint layer, even the background, even the frieze with the cobras. Let's say in the second room in sanctuary, they also repainted or overpainted the whole walls, even covering the hieroglyphs that were erased. But the cobra frieze have been left without any addition. And I see the lower quality of the, let's say, reconstruction, especially in this north wall of the sanctuary. And in case of the niche, all the walls have been left without any overpainting layer. Only, as you can see here, we see the reconstruction that is limited only into the area of the let's say that the goats were depicted. So this is our let's say the first conclusion, as what is referred to the conservation. It is obvious that the modern day conservation was undertaken only in the first chamber, only in vestibule, and the other two chambers, sanctuary and the niche, have been left without any other conservation activities. So everything is in our hands, and thank you.